All right, and on the line with us at this time, we actually have a former WCW star, the Maestro of Wrestling. Of course, he is on the line with us right now. How you doing, Stro?
Great. How are you guys?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Now, we're talking about, of course, WCW. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the demise of the company, and we've got a few questions for you. If you don't mind, let's go ahead and get started.
Oh, let's go.
Now, how did you initially get involved with WCW?
Well, at the time, I was touring for Puerto Rico for WWC of Carlos Colon, and when Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage contacted me about working for the company, in which I flew up to Wonder Nitros and had a meeting with them and Eric Bischoff about possibility of working for the company. But at the time, I guess things, the negotiations kind of fell through at that time, so I went back to doing tours and, wrestled in Mexico and around the U.S., etc. And then I got the call again from WCW to come back for another tryout, which I had a tryout match with Chavo Guerrero Jr., which was a big honor in itself because I'm very well the Guerrero family, and I couldn't ask for anybody better to have a tryout match with. So we had a great match, and I remember Eric singing the praises of the match and saying welcome aboard, and as soon as he said that, walked out the door, and there's Dallas Page, Arn Anderson, everybody shaking my hand, welcoming me aboard the company, and that was it.
What are some of your fondest memories from your time that you had in WCW?
Well, it was just like, it was really hard to really have a bad match with anybody because you had the creme of talents from like all parts of the world. I mean, you had the luchadors from Mexico, you had the great Japanese wrestlers, and the great scientific wrestlers from Europe and so forth, and great talent from Canada and parts of the U.S. So I mean, it was really hard to not have a good match with anybody. And yet, I mean, being there with legends like Ric Flair, Terry Funk, Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and to the great junior heavyweights at the time, like you had Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Psychosis, Ciclope, Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, and then the list goes on. I mean, it was just being a part of at one time one of the biggest, if not the biggest, wrestling promotion in the world. I mean, it was a fantastic deal, and getting to have the feuds that I had, with the Bagwells, the Flairs, and the Ernest the Cat Millers was, it was great.
Great. Now, was there any one experience that you had there in your time in WCW that just really kind of upset you and made you say, enough of this?
Well, of course, with any promotion, you have your highs and lows, and there are confusing times. I mean, there are times towards the end there towards the end of my run, rather, where, it's like we we had a card set up, but it changed like 5 or 6 different times before we even got out to the ring and to perform. So a lot of us were standing outside the locker room going, okay, what's next? But, we did like what we felt we had to do. We made an omelet with a few eggs, and we made the best of what was given to us. And like I've iterated before, you can ask for a better talent roster than we had. It was great, and I mean, for myself too, to be part of the great angle I did with Ernest the Cat Miller, involved in one of the greatest performers in all the entertainment, Godfather Soul James Brown. I mean, that was epic in itself. So, but it was a confusion at the time. We had different bosses once every 2 weeks, it seems like, and it's like every boss wanted to do something different than the one before, and it was a lot of. The office was kind of chaotic at the time because there was no cohesiveness, working together more or less, and us being the talent that we were just given the stuff and try to make the best of. So, but if the office were been more as a unit, I think, WCW would have been much better off in the long term.
Yeah, definitely. Now, a lot of a lot of these interviews we do, we ask for like a rib or a road story. Do you have like a funny locker room or road story from your time there in WCW?
Oh, yes. Oh, most definitely. I got quite a few actually. One guy, one great legend. I just swear I would adopt some uncle if I could. Terry Funk bought this chicken one time. Sorry, compare him to anatomy because I won Ric Flair at one of the events that we did, and I remember we were all falling out laughing, and Terry, see these legs, see this nose, see this skin. This is Ric Flair, and I'm going to take Ric Flair by the neck and whip him like the dog that he is. I mean, he's beating the chicken on the ground, and we're all howling, laughing. It was great. And then I remember getting back to the hotel that night, and the bellboy was running around with this same trash bag. And I asked him, I said, what are you doing? And he's like, this guy gave me this dead chicken, and I don't know what to do with it. Of course, it was Terry. But, yeah, many great times, man. It was just, it was great being part of the, the locker rooms and veterans and legends to the great athletes that were a part of WCW at one point. So I was just happy to be part of WCW when it was at its pinnacle.
Now, you actually left when your contract expired in 2000. Of course, the promotion was around until early 2001. And, obviously every company has some issues. What are some of the problems you saw during your time in WCW, and did that influence your decision, any of those influence your decision to not re-sign with WCW?
Well, the company was bleeding financially at one point. I remember talking to Ric Flair one time, and, he was looking at some of the figures in the book that one of the local promoters gave him at the time, and I remember him shaking his head going, my God, what are they doing? and it was just, bad decisions. Pretty much the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing, and it was it was sad in a lot of ways because, especially when we had the merger, the Time Warner and AOL, which, they were not really, their interests weren't really wrestling oriented. So, a lot of factors came in that were against its, WCW survival on top of that, which was a shame because, at one time they had the best talent, in the entire world. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better roster and everything. And it was just, if WWE hadn't bought out WCW, I mean, it would have crumbled anyway. I mean, it was in the downward spiral. But it was just one of those things where, it did the backing and the office kind of fell through, and that was that.
So you just talked about some of the financial peril the company was in. Obviously, that was one of the main contributors. But was there one event that you can look at and say that you think that kind of began the demise of WCW?
Well, there was a lot of bad decisions. I mean, they were trying to bring entertainers at the time, but, like David Arquette and so forth. But when they started degrading the championships, especially the WCW World title, by giving it to the non-wrestling personnel, I mean, it's, when you degrade your top prize, I mean, it takes the notoriety out of it, not just for the wrestlers, but for the fans itself, because, I mean, that's the thing we all strive for, is to be heavyweight champion of the world, right? So, nothing against the great entertainers that came in. I mean, like David Arquette, for example, was a great guy and gave a lot to charity and everything. He was great to all of us. It was just bad decisions by the office and by the people running the ship at the time, and which is sad because, I mean, it could have been greater, even greater, and it could have been still in existence today if, we had our stuff, shipped together, more or less.
Oh, what do you feel was the best storyline that you were ever a part of in WCW?
Well, hands down, the angle that got the most notoriety would have to have been the one where it's Cat Miller. Without a doubt, shadow of a doubt, and it could have been even bigger. There were plans of bringing in more entertainers even after James Brown and so forth. I mean, the feud I had with David Flair was going to eventually lead to a feud with his father, Ric Flair. But that, like a lot of great angles and great storylines that were planned. They fell through the cracks between the different bosses and different, members of management that came in and out. But I would have to say the one of all the feuds I had in WCW, the one of the most notoriety had to have been the one against Cat Miller. I mean, it was a very entertaining feud, no doubt, and Ernest, he's a very entertaining guy, legit 3-time kickboxing, karate champion anyway, excuse me. And so it was, it was great. It was a great feud to be a part of, and I'm glad I got the notoriety it did. And it could have gotten more notoriety, you say, if the company were still around.
Now, what do you miss the most about WCW?
Well, I think what I miss most about WCW and what not just wrestlers but fans, I missed the heritage. Stretching back to the old NWA and so forth. That guys like Flair and Dusty Rhodes and the Andersons, and that generation paved way for the rest of us to carry on. You had rich in heritage WCW had, and its ties with the NWA. So that itself what made me a fan of WCW and wanted me to originally be a part of WCW was that rich WCW/NWA heritage that it had, and being a part of it, being in the same company with greats like Terry Funk, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan. Just the list goes on. It was just it was a dream come true, and something I always will cherish the rest of my life.
Okay, Stro. Well, I just want to thank you for joining us today, and thanks for all the years of entertainment.
All right, thank you.